I have found out that there will probably not be a performance of the opera by Jomelli. We saw the King and Queen during a mass in the chapel near the palace.
The distinctions and awards given to Mozart in Italy were the attempt to pay the highest possible tribute to an absolutely inexplicable phenomenon in the form of a child. How can it otherwise be explained that a 14-year-old boy could also become a member of the famous Philharmonia Academia in Bologna? How is it otherwise to be understood that in the same year he was received by Pope Clement XIV and appointed by him Knight of the Golden Spur? This was an honour that fellow musician Christoph Willibald Gluck had similarly received a short while beforehand. Despite all the honours, praise and a lot of money, Leopold began to get worried. The source of income from the child prodigy threatened to dry up. Mozart was only 14 when he was made a knight, but his appearance did not allow him to be sold any longer as a child. The new aim, Wolfgang as a genius composer. At the age of 14, he received his first major opera commission, Mitridate. 2 years later, in Milan, another commission, Lucio Silla, the first truly incomparable stage work by Mozart, composed under such difficult conditions as could hardly be comprehended by composers of the Romantic period, and even nowadays.
Back then, there was a huge difference, the feeling of being a genius. That a genius sits on a cloud of incense and then waits for inspiration and says, I cannot compose. I need the mood of a thunderstorm brewing to have inspiration. I have really heard composers say such things. Mozart strictly separated his private life from his moods and his professional life. Shortly after his mother died, he was able to write very cheerful music. Not long after his father died, he wrote the Musikalischer Spaß, a musical joke, and he composed very sad and really tragic music when he was in a cheerful mood. In other words, his life and his work are two completely separate things. He was extremely professional.
In September 1777, Wolfgang Mozart and his mother set off on the journey which was to fill many pages of all Mozart biographies. For a long time, Mozart had been unsettled in Salzburg. The previous years had been characterized by several unsuccessful attempts by father and son Mozart to find an appointment at one of the foreign princely courts. The final destination of the journey was to be Paris. However, they stayed much longer than planned in Mannheim, one of the most important centers of music at that time in Europe and a meeting place for all renowned composers and leading musicians. The reason was to be found in the excellent orchestra of the Elector Karl Theodor of the Pfalz. The development of musical dynamics, or to put it more simply, the invention of the crescendo, the increase in the sound of the music, took place during these years in the mid-18th century within this Mannheim orchestra.
After Mannheim, it was more or less impossible to continue to compose as in the Baroque style. If we look at it in a negative way, it was rather like a poison, something that had to have a lasting effect, like a drug. For instance, you begin to play a passage very softly, but it is composed in such a way that you have to do it like this. Then for 20 bars, let's say 10 seconds, 20 seconds, the volume of the crescendo increases. And if it is composed with harmony, it can be overwhelming. You cannot play it any other way. You cannot say, let's play this piece softly now, because it is composed like that. That is a part of the composition. And the deadly bacteria are there to a certain extent, because every time it is played anew, it demands that the next time is even greater. This introduction of dynamics led to the crescendo having an increasing volume. For centuries beforehand, this had not been necessary, up to the threshold of pain. That is the stopping point, or where a loss of hearing begins. Mozart will go to Mannheim, and come what may, I cannot get it out of my head. The Elector will keep him,
prophesied Countess Londrin in Salzburg. An appointment at the court of the Elector Karl Theodor of the Pfalz would have been what Mozart wished for. The musicians in Mannheim were paid extremely well. For instance, the concert master received 1,400 florins, the court composer Ignaz Holzbauer 3,000. Even nowadays, this would correspond to about 75,000 euros a year.
It could really make your mouth water,
wrote Anna Maria Mozart to Leopold about the fees for musicians. She went on to write,
everything happens quite slowly here. We have to bide our time and be content that he has not given a negative answer.
Even though a personal meeting took place between the Elector and Mozart in a pleasant atmosphere, the Elector decided in December 1777 against offering Mozart an appointment. This marked the beginning of a whole series of unfortunate events. One of Mozart's truly great secrets is revealed in this situation in Mannheim. Mozart reacts to enormous blows of fate, such as professional setbacks and so on, with tremendous creativity. At the beginning of 1778, while still in Mannheim, he fell seriously in love. Love and Mozart, an inseparable entity in his operas. Don Giovanni, Dorabella, Cherubino, Despina, Pamina, the Countess, Figaro, Donna Anna, Papageno, Fiordaligi. The list could go on. The great Da Ponte operas in particular, what are they all about? About love and eroticism, of course.
Quem